Donald Trump is cracking, not during the day, at night. When the cameras are off, when the briefings end, when the markets close in the red and the war updates get worse, Trump is reportedly spiraling, lashing out at staff and doing everything he can to manipulate markets that are tanking because of a war he started without a plan. In this video, we break down the documented pattern of Trump's late-night market manipulation. The phone calls to television networks timed to move stock prices, the vague statements designed to trigger rallies that erase daily losses, the contradiction between what he tells Wall Street and what the Pentagon tells troops. We cover why the markets are tanking, how Trump's war in Iran has destabilized global energy and shattered investor confidence, the specific instances where Trump's public statements appear designed to manipulate market movement, what economists and analysts are saying about the pattern, and why this behavior during a war where soldiers are dying represents one of the most dangerous abuses of presidential power in modern history. This is commentary and analysis based on publicly available reporting and official statements. It does not constitute financial, legal, or professional advice. Some details in fast-moving events may evolve. Subscribe for daily breakdowns that connect the dots others won't. It is 3 o'clock in the morning, and the President of the United States is awake. Not because he is in the Situation Room managing a war. Not because he is on a secure call with military commanders coordinating the next operation. Not because he is consoling the families of the 6 soldiers who came home in coffins last week. He is awake because the markets closed in the red again. Because futures are trending down. Because oil is surging past levels his administration swore it would control. And because somewhere between midnight and dawn, between the hours when normal presidents are either sleeping or working, Donald Trump is on his phone, crafting statements, calling television networks, and posting messages calibrated not to win a war, but to move a stock ticker. This is not leadership. This is desperation dressed up as governance. And the desperation is visible, not in what Trump says during the day when the cameras are rolling and the teleprompter is loaded, but in what he does at night. When the polls are bad, the market data is worse, and the weight of a war he cannot control starts pressing down on a man who has never once in his life admitted he was wrong about anything, a president cracking at night, markets tanking by day, a war spiraling hour by hour, and in between, manipulation, deliberate, documented, desperate manipulation of the financial markets by the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly how this manipulation works, why it is failing, what the markets are actually telling us about the war, and why what is happening inside the White House after midnight should terrify you more than what is happening on the battlefield. Think about it like this. Imagine a CEO whose company is collapsing. Revenue is down, the product is failing, customers are leaving, employees are quitting, and instead of fixing the business, instead of changing the strategy, cutting the losses, addressing the problems, the CEO stays up all night writing fake press releases designed to pump the stock price. Every night, same pattern, vague optimism. Everything is great. We are ahead of schedule. The best is yet to come. And every morning, the stock opens higher because people believed the press release. And every afternoon, it crashes again because reality catches up. And then that night, the CEO is back at his desk, writing another press release, trying to pump it again. How long before the board fires that CEO? How long before regulators investigate? How long before someone calls it what it is? Not leadership, but fraud. Hold that thought, because that is exactly what Trump is doing with the American economy right now. Except the company is the United States, the failing product is an unauthorized war, and the stock being pumped is the confidence of 330 million people who are watching their savings, their gas prices, and their grocery bills get destroyed in real time. Drop your answer in the comments. Is this strategy? Or is this a man who knows he is losing and cannot stop lying about it? He is focused on the Dow Jones. And that tells you everything about what this presidency is actually about. Here is the fundamental problem Trump is trying to manipulate his way around. Markets are not tanking because of bad headlines. Markets are tanking because the underlying economic reality has deteriorated. And the deterioration is directly caused by this administration's policies. Nobel Prize-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz stated, quote, What we are witnessing is a classic case of policy-induced economic destabilization. The war has created a supply shock in energy markets that is now cascading through the global economy. The president's attempts to manage market sentiment through public statements are not only ineffective, they are counterproductive because they signal desperation and further erode the credibility that markets need to stabilize. End quote. And here's the part that connects the market manipulation to the war in the most damning way possible. Every time Trump pumps the market with a, quote, war is almost over statement, and then reality contradicts him within hours, the credibility loss is not just financial, it is strategic. Because Iran watches these statements too. Iran sees a president who is clearly desperate for the war to be over, desperate enough to lie to his own markets about it. And that desperation tells Tehran everything it needs to know about leverage. A president who is cracking under market pressure is a president who can be outlasted. Iran's entire strategy, absorb the bombing, squeeze the oil, let the economic pain do the work, is validated every single time Trump makes a desperate late-night post trying to pump a sinking market. He is not just manipulating the markets. He is showing his enemy his breaking point. And when the numbers do not turn, when the futures stay red, when the analyst commentary is brutal, when the headline is markets tank instead of markets rally, the rage comes. Staff are berated. Advisors are blamed. Questions are asked not about military strategy or diplomatic options, but about, quote, why isn't anyone defending me on television? One source described a night where the president demanded that his communications team state 2 in the morning, declaring that the war was producing, quote, the greatest economic boom in history. Staff pushed back. The statement was modified. But the impulse, the need to project success in the face of obvious failure at an hour when no legitimate operational update would ever be issued, reveals the psychological architecture of what is happening. This is not a president who is losing sleep because he is worried about the missing service members. This is not a president awake at 3 a.m. because the French soldier's death weighs on his conscience. This is not a president burning midnight oil studying intelligence briefings about Iranian sea mine placement or drone boat deployment patterns. This is a president awake at 3 a.m. because the Dow closed down 400 points and he needs it to open green tomorrow. That is his war, not Iran, the market. And here is what makes this genuinely dangerous, not just politically, but strategically. A president who is sleep-deprived, emotionally reactive, fixated on market performance, and surrounded by staff who are afraid to deliver bad news, is a president who will make catastrophic decisions. Every serious study of wartime leadership failure identifies the same factors: exhaustion, ego, information distortion, and the substitution of performative confidence for genuine assessment. Trump is exhibiting all 4 simultaneously. During a war with a nuclear threshold state, while managing the most volatile energy market in a generation, while the alliance structure cracks, while soldiers are missing, while markets tank, and while the president's primary response is not to address any of those crises, but to post on Truth Social at 3 in the morning that everything is going great. So what does this mean for you? Let me make it concrete. It means your retirement account is being whipsawed by presidential market manipulation. Every time Trump pumps the market with a vague statement and the rally fails the next day, the volatility damages portfolio value, particularly for people in retirement or nearing retirement who cannot afford sustained swings. Your 401k is being used as a political tool. It means the manipulation is making the underlying problem worse. Each failed pump teaches institutional investors that presidential statements are unreliable. That erosion of credibility does not reset. It compounds. The more Trump tries to talk markets up, the less markets believe him. And the fewer markets believe the president, the harder it becomes to stabilize anything, even if the war ends tomorrow. It means the president is not managing the war. He is managing the market. And a president whose primary focus is stock performance at 3 a.m. is a president who is not reading intelligence briefings, not coordinating with allies, not focused on the safety of deployed troops, and not working on an exit strategy. Every hour spent on market manipulation is an hour not spent on ending the war, recovering missing service members, or repairing fractured alliances. It means the economic damage is deepening while the president performs recovery. Gas prices are still climbing, grocery costs are still rising, shipping is still disrupted, insurance premiums are still spiking, and the reserve releases that were supposed to stabilize oil have already been deployed and failed. The emergency ammunition has been spent, and prices are still rising. It means Iran is watching, and what Iran sees is a president who is cracking, a president who is desperate for markets to rally, a president who will say anything to move a ticker, and that desperation is leverage. Every late-night pump tells Tehran, hold on a little longer, he is breaking. The economic pressure is working, the strategy is working, keep squeezing. 3 scenarios for where this goes. Scenario 1. The manipulation works temporarily. Trump finds a statement dramatic enough, a ceasefire announcement, a deal framework, a declaration of victory that produces a sustained rally. Markets stabilize for days or weeks. Oil pulls back. The political pressure eases, but the underlying problems remain. The war is not actually over. Iran has not actually surrendered. The Strait is not actually safe. And when reality reasserts itself, as it always does, the crash is worse than anything that came before, because the distance between the manipulated price and the real price has grown wider. The longer the manipulation holds, the harder the eventual correction. This is how bubbles work, and the president is building one in real time. Scenario 2. The manipulation fails completely. Markets stop responding to Trump's statements. Institutional investors have already discounted presidential commentary as noise. The pumps produce smaller and smaller rallies. Eventually, they produce nothing. And when the market stops responding to the president entirely, the psychological effect on Trump is devastating, because the one tool he believed he had, the one lever he could pull, stops working. A president who has lost the ability to move markets is a president who feels powerless. And a president who feels powerless during a war either escalates dramatically, looking for a military win big enough to replace the market win he can no longer manufacture, or collapses into paralysis. Neither outcome is safe. Scenario 3. The investigation. Members of Congress and financial regulators begin asking whether the president's statements constitute market manipulation under federal securities law. The SEC, which has historically been reluctant to investigate presidential speech, faces pressure from congressional oversight. Financial journalists document the pattern in granular detail, timestamps of statements matched against trading volumes and price movements. The evidence builds toward a picture that is difficult to explain as anything other than deliberate manipulation. Legal scholars begin debating whether a sitting president can be investigated for market manipulation. The precedent does not exist because no president has ever done this so brazenly. But the absence of precedent does not mean the absence of violation. It means the system has never been tested by someone willing to abuse it this openly. Here is what I keep coming back to. Somewhere in the White House, right now, tonight, or tomorrow night, or the night after that, Donald Trump will be awake. Not because he is grieving the dead, not because he is planning a rescue for the missing, not because he is working to repair the alliance with France, not because he is studying the intelligence on Iranian sea mines or drone boat deployments, not because he is reading the WHO reports on black rain and toxic smoke exposure. He will be awake because the Dow closed down, because oil closed up, because the futures are red, and because he needs, with a desperation that is now visible to everyone watching, to find the right words at the right time in the right trading window to make the numbers go green for one more day. That is his war. Not Iran, not the troops, not the economy, not you, the ticker. And every night he spends manipulating markets is a night he does not spend ending the war, bringing soldiers home, stabilizing energy prices, repairing alliances, or leveling with the American people about what is actually happening. The markets are tanking because reality is tanking, and no amount of 3 a.m. posts can change reality. They can only delay the moment when everyone else sees what the market already sees, that this presidency, this war, and this economy are heading somewhere that no amount of manipulation can prevent. So I will leave you with this. When the president is awake at 3 a.m., Not for the troops, not for the missing, not for the war, but for the stock market. Who is he actually serving? When every rally he manufactures collapses within 24 hours because reality contradicts his statements, how many times do you believe the pump before you realize the pump is the problem? When Iran watches a president crack under market pressure, and a president who posts desperately at midnight trying to move futures, what does that tell them about how much longer they need to hold on? And when your retirement account, your gas prices, your grocery bill, and your economic future are being whipsawed by one man's inability to sleep through a red market close, is this still America first? Or is this one man first at the cost of everyone else?